Here we go. It's been a minute, but we're back. Nice little break there with everything unplanned, but, we'll take them when
That's
we get them.
life.
Dom, how
Yeah.
we feeling?
Well, in the 3 weeks since we've last recorded,
It's been 3.
it's been 3 weeks. Yeah,
Damn.
I know. Feels like longer. Um, but yeah, I have watched the Knicks win a championship for the first time in 56 years.
3.
I have 53
53.
years. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, 50 plus.
Just saying.
No, I mean, first time in my lifetime, so
Yes.
it doesn't really matter. Numbers at that point aren't equatable. But that occurred. I got a promotion at work and now moving to the new space on Friday. So a lot going on in my life, but a lot of good. So thankful
Yeah,
for
can't be
that
mad at that.
because everything else regarding sports is not as fun.
Yeah, this is that dead time. The finals was awesome. That I think
Correct.
has to be the best 5-game, the best gentleman's sweep, I think, that's ever existed in NBA playoffs.
I mean, it was so entertaining.
Like,
and
every game was fantastic. I mean, Spurs had double-digit leads in every game. Found ways to lose them. Game 4, obviously, was incredible. I was mildly hoping that it would go 6 so that they could do it in New York, just because I wanted to hear that place. But New York traveled, so it was still pretty loud down there in San Antonio.
Super loud.
Yeah.
Super loud. My favorite thing is Spike Lee got back to New York in time to drive through the city.
Yeah, they got him into the parade, which is awesome.
So funny. No. That night that they won, he immediately celebrates with them, gets on his plane, flies back to New York. It might be like 1:32 in the morning. Downtown Manhattan. You see videos of him with the fans.
Gotcha. Sorry, I thought you meant like actually in the parade, which was also awesome.
He has to be.
Well, he did get it. He was in the parade. Yeah, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But him and Dolan don't like each other. He's the only one on Celebrity Row or I think this is true, like the only one on Celebrity Row that actually has to pay for his tickets because Dolan makes him. And then Dolan was an asshole, obviously.
One isn't here.
But, outside of that, vibes are good for the Knicks right now.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'm sure that's not going to last much longer, but...
No, something stupid's going to happen. But I'd like to see them kind of run this whole thing back.
Yeah, see if it's
as much as
repeatable or just kind of see East is still wide.
This is what the new NBA is.
New team every year. I'm here for that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you don't see that. Like, it feels like the dynasty aspect of the NBA is dead, which is great. It's great to feel that, where whoever gets in the playoffs truly has a shot to win it year in and year out.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at the NFL and it's like 5 or 6 teams. You look at the MLB, it's 5 or 6 teams. Look at the NHL, it feels kind of like the same way.
It does still feel like there's only like a handful of teams that can actually win at the NBA, but like at least the NFL offers. There is still a lot of parity for the most part.
Sure.
For the most part. Unless we have, runs like Mahomes and Brady.
Yeah. I'm just meaning in the NBA wise. Going into the playoffs, nobody picked the Knicks. Very few people outside of the fan base were like, they have a chance. I didn't even think they had a chance.
No.
It still feels surreal that they did it.
I thought they were very clearly getting bounced around too by the Celtics, but thankfully they didn't even have to face that.
I mean, even then, like last year, they beat up on the Celtics pretty bad. So and that was with a healthy Tatum for the first 4 games. So I still think,
I mean, it was, they something clicked with them, and that's just one of the most incredible runs.
And they didn't need, the Cat didn't have a great finals, but it
He
didn't
was good
matter.
the first 2 games, but then he kind of turned into old cat for a little bit there. But
I don't necessarily think it was his fault. It was a lot of
he,
the game script and everything.
yeah, a little bit of that, and he got himself into some foul trouble early in those
I
last
don't
two
even.
games.
We're not going to talk about it.
I'm
It
just saying, regardless whether or not he's got a history of doing that. That was his issue in Minnesota, was dumb
sure.
fouls and early fouls, getting himself out of a rhythm from the jump kind of thing. But that's a whole other thing. Um, so yeah, let's get into the football stuff here. So really the biggest thing that's happened over the last several weeks has been Brendan Sorsby. We touched
Mhm.
on it with his lawsuit that he had out against the NCAA.
Trying to get
What that could potentially
reinstated.
mean. Yeah, trying to be reinstated. Whether or not he was going to enter into the supplemental draft felt like
Correct.
it was going to be a much bigger thing. That has since been settled, where he was reinstated with a 2-game suspension.
However, that was not by the NCAA. He was
And it was
reinstated. He was
in
reinstated
courts.
by a court.
Yes. And
So that was a
then,
much different narrative.
yeah, the NCAA appealed that decision, which has been a long running thing over the last
Mhm.
couple of years with the NCAA and having to settle things in courts. This has just obviously been the biggest one. So he gets reinstated by a judge, gets a 2-game suspension, NCAA appeals, and it was what, a week later?
A week later, so it was last Monday, because
He,
he would have needed to announce his wanting to be in the
yeah.
supplemental draft by today at 4 o'clock, and he did it with at least a week to spare to give himself some time, which was quite shocking because going into the kind of the process, it seemed like he wanted the opportunity to play in Texas Tech
Mm-hmm.
and to kind of up his draft stock. However, I think at the end of the day, even given the reinstatement from the courts that overruled the NCAA, I think he got some information that provided that he would 100% go in the supplemental draft. And not only that, but somebody would give up decent capital in order to get him.
Yeah, I feel like honestly he's done more damage to himself over the last 2 months than he would have if either A, just declared for the draft right away when well, actually no, he wouldn't have been able to declare for the actual
And
draft
that was
at that
so
point
this
because
all
that was a
yeah,
little
it
bit
all came
after.
out
This was like,
after.
yeah, after that time. So that was like mid-April. You
Mhm.
remember, was it just
It
before or
was
just
it
after the
was
draft?
it was like second week in May. It all came
I
out.
was good. Okay, so it was after that. Yeah, so
Mhm.
had he just declared for the supplemental draft right away or just did the first part of it, which was recognize gambling addiction, go to rehab, declare for the supplemental draft, I think he would have served himself better than this loss. I don't know what type of representation he has around him, who is
Yeah.
influencing him, but they did a horrendous job for this kid. Like
Yeah,
he needs to fire everybody
I
on
think
this
that's
one.
also part of the reason why he's going in the supplemental draft, just because one, a lot of the backlash came from him winning in the court system, and not his fault at all.
No, they put up a good
It's
case.
just
Like I said, I think I brought that up before too. It's just like looking at some of the little
yeah,
blurbs from it was like, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but when you go to court documents, you go, all right, well, they're making a sound argument here.
yeah. So I think going forward, there's going to be a lot less pushment, not pushing from players to be reinstated in that facet just because of the blowback that it received. I've never seen pure detest from fans of the NCAA because, I mean, not only that, but like reporters, media outlets, they were so upset because at that point, anybody can do anything if you
Yep.
just go over your head.
Yeah,
And
but
that's kind of what the narrative was writing. And so I think part of him going to the supplemental draft additionally was to help kind of correct that. I think he'll be fine. I don't think it'll come as much. He's gonna get drafted. The NFL will slap him on the wrist with like a 2-game suspension that
I don't think the
won't
NFL. Well, the
affect
NFL is
him.
not going to do anything to him in terms
Well,
of.
no. So the
I
NFL
think he.
has
Sorry.
slapped, and in the past, the NFL has slapped people on the wrist who have done things in college and then have come in through the supplemental draft. It's not the first time. They did it with Josh Gordon. So it's going to be a similar scenario here, if I can imagine. Just like you are coming in as a first-time offender.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get anything because I don't think he's not going to start either. So what, you're going to suspend him for 2 games that he was going to be the third stringer anyway?
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't see the NFL actually doing anything in that facet, but they're going to be on high alert. But
well, and that's, like I said, that's why you give that suspension, because it's like, okay, you're on strike 1. You're starting here instead of here. So you're starting further up the pole. If you hit strike 2 and 3, then we know.
I mean, strike 1 has been season-long suspensions.
Sure, but that's
at least for what we're like the gambling side of it. I mean,
correct. But
Calvin Ridley. I mean, has Calvin Ridley been the only? No, JMO.
It wasn't a season. It was a lot shorter. It was 6 games.
Yeah, but that was, he was younger at the time Calvin Ridley was on second contract.
No, Calvin Ridley was still on his rookie.
Was he?
Everything
he was
because he was an older rookie when he came out.
Maybe that's why I got that confused.
Yeah, I think the NFL's being more lenient now with cases that are related to gambling, just because of
but I think they're going to go the opposite direction with everything that just happened in the last year between MLB and obviously the NBA. With FBI getting involved on those, like, you have to come down hard. And that was part of it with Sorsby, was like, yeah, I get it. It is what it is. Like, you're young, you made a mistake. I understand it. I enjoy gambling too, but you have to be hard on it for the integrity of the game, for the sake of those of us that do enjoy gambling. Is like, we want it to stay legal because it's a fun part of the game, but you can't have those kind of situations coming in and ruining it for
and that's why I'm saying he's gonna come in with a suspension.
That's fair. I get what you're saying.
What that is, I don't know. That, if I had to guess, at worst case scenario, it's 6 games. 6 games that he was probably never gonna play anyways, like you stated.
Yeah.
But regardless of any of that, this situation is definitely going to put him on strike 1 instead of with everybody else, which I think it should. You have to face some sort of, he just needs to have something coming in that allows
there has to be some
fans to know
something
that
you feel
there needs to be a repercussion in some way, which I completely understand. Now, if he plays his entire career and nothing ever comes of it after that, that's amazing. But it's when you see this coming in, it's tough to know that that's not the case.
Yeah, and this whole thing really just messed up college football and college athletics at this point.
Not only did it mess up college football, but it messed up the NFL in a way, because now teams have a chance to get a starting caliber quarterback after the draft, and in a draft where Sorsby could have been the second quarterback off the board if he had a full offseason process pre-draft. So now we're sitting here thinking, well, damn, the Jets could steal a quarterback and then utilize all three of their first rounders next year in a different position, or the Cardinals could add a different guy, or the Steelers, or the Browns, whoever it may be, could get this guy at a better premium than what it would have been otherwise. So it's just kind of playing on that. Because if he would have been in the class, the draft process would have went a completely different route than what we saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I was listening to since we shifted to the NFL side of it here, like I was listening to Cowherd the other day, and he brought it up in the sense of he said he reached out to a couple different execs, NFL execs, and kind of the consensus was it's probably going to be a third.
I think
people
third.
will.
I think third's light.
Well, here's the thing: is he was kind of viewed as basically from him talking to multiple people, the consensus was most people viewed him as kind of QB3 had he been in this class, already behind Mendoza and Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably would have been end of the first, early second at that point. And this was before the gambling side of it. Now, with that coming out, with how the NFL has treated that before, he's already got the reputation, and how it's like kind of unspoken that the next time it happens in any of these leagues, it's like going to be a death sentence. Like if he slips up again and it comes through and he throws $5 on something, like that's going to be a career ender. So teams aren't willing to, like, it's not going to be a first. Nobody's going to risk throwing a first at that. And even a second, like losing a first or a second to something that could have been totally avoidable. They don't, like, NFL execs aren't valuing him as worth that. Like the risk isn't worth the reward with him.
I'm gonna politely. Yeah,
and then the other side of it was that he's kind of viewed as a slightly better Jackson Dart, which, like, that's a starting quarterback for sure. I agree with that, but like when you get to choose what you're throwing at a pick, you know what I mean, or what you're using for a player,
it's
like
not
actually, and you're not playing the board. I get that. And that's why I say I think he did much more damage to himself and his value by not just saying, fucked up, rehab.
I mean,
putting this whole thing behind me. I'll wear it on my chest that I can't play college football anymore. Let's go. New chapter. Instead, tried to play both sides of the coin there. Got bad advice from whoever's around him. And that part of it plays into, like, there's another thing that came up is like the highest judgment position in sports. You've now shown that you have poor judgment. You know what I'm saying? So, like, traits are there, but like the above the shoulder stuff seems to not be. And he shot himself in the foot a few times over the last.
I'm not fully disagreeing with everything that you're saying. What I am gonna 100% disagree with is kind of like the stance on. I mean, one, I think, like I've said already, given a full pre-draft process, I think he's easily QB in that class. He's a better quarterback than Ty Simpson. I don't
That's fair.
think that's much of a debate. He's an athlete. Ty Simpson's not. If you want an athletic quarterback with a similar arm talent as Ty Simpson, you have that in Sorsby. So in that aspect, I see him as QB2 if he would have been in that class. He might have not have started out that way, but it would have finished that way. But what you're forgetting is there is a quarterback tax and everything that we do within the NFL. So sure, it can be viewed as a third rounder, but it's not going to be. It's 100% going to be a second round pick that gets him. It's not going to be a first, not in the stacked 2027 class that we're seeing.
No, not at all.
That is a terrifying game to play, and nobody should play that. I'm 100% on that. But a second round pick for a quarterback that could potentially be your future starter for the next decade. Yeah, give me that all day.
I just have a tough time seeing who's giving up the second, though. You know what I mean?
I mean, so
because even if it's a high second, you don't really want to give that pick up. Like Arizona, I don't see them doing that.
Let's play the game. So the Jets have 3 first-round picks. If you're telling me I can use my second-round pick on my quarterback of the future and keep those first 3 to get a wide receiver, defensive end, and a fun toy at the end of the day, sure. 100% I'm on that. Or let's keep going. So Arizona, you say no. That's completely reasonable if you are expected to have the top 3 pick in the draft next year. And you're telling me I could have Arch or I could have Dante Moore. Yeah, I'm gonna like both those guys better than Sorsby. But outside of that, it's a similar kind of basket of guys. Like this person could potentially be something, or he could go down like the Cade Klubnik route and fall to the 6th. Or he could go down the Ty Simpson route and rise up a little bit here, or the Mendoza route and get up to the next number 1 pick. So like that's the issue with having the supplemental draft now is you need to decide if the risk is worth the reward. If I'm willing to bet that my team will be bad enough, because if I'm not, I'd rather secure my quarterback now than wait until next spring and hope that I'm bad enough. Because I guarantee you there will be a worse team.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and but that's what I'm saying. Like the risk reward part of it is, I think, where it comes in that like I think teams are really gonna like I really understand that side of it where you want to be really conservative with your picks, and he's a high risk, high reward kind of thing, or a high risk, but the reward is a complete unknown.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you just don't know what he's going to become. You know his traits. You know he's an athletic guy. He has a decent arm, and he's able to hit all 3 levels of the field. That's what you like when you see Sorsby. Now, obviously, what you don't like is the off-the-field issues that have now come up. So those are the questions that you need to find out. So do your due diligence when it comes to that. It's the same thing as the off-season pre-draft process is have conversations with him. Have conversations with this game. See what type of person he's like. Because that's the only way you're going to be comfortable with making that decision. But I know there will be a team for sure that's going to be like a second round pick. Yes.
Yeah, I just like you said too with that. Like it's different. It's not Brandon Ayuk getting another shot on a different team. You know what I mean? Like he's shown something at the NFL level. It's not. I mean, we can go down through the Antonio Brown. I mean, there's a reason that Rashee Rice is still on the Chiefs roster. It's like things get excused when you show that you're able to do things. When it comes to the draft,
those guys did were way worse.
I agree 100%. I would, gambling issues do not equate anything else that a lot of these other guys have done, which
Yeah.
that's not the argument that I'm
Yeah.
trying to have. But draft day, Laramie Tunsil, the
The
video of
best.
him smoking weed, fucking falls down the board. When it comes to the draft stuff, like those, like even if it's not a major thing, they cause dudes to fall. This is one of those things that, like, he gets caught again, it's over.
Yeah. No,
You
I'm
get to
not.
go back to college at that point, but you're taking online classes, not playing football, and you're just getting a degree. Like, that's where we're at. Like,
Yeah. I don't.
that's the side of it. So again, like, yes, that can
It's
happen with
see.
any draft pick,
Yeah.
but
You're looking at
you
this from.
have.
Yeah. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Finish.
I was
No. No.
just gonna
No. Go
say,
ahead.
like, you have the information now. So
Correct. Yeah.
like that plays into it, and it's not just that. It's not just the gambling thing. It's just the last 2 months of this too, where I would
Yeah.
have a tough
Which
time overpaying for.
I mean, you're not necessarily overpaying. You're anytime you draft somebody, it's the same risk. You don't know what this
Mm,
guy's going to look like. I mean, look at James Pierce
yeah.
for Atlanta. You didn't know that when you drafted him, but it's that risk that you run every single time you pick up that phone, call a guy, and tell him you're taking it.
Mm,
That's the truth of the matter. This you actually know what is going on, the entire situation, and every bit and piece of that, which is
mm,
a positive in that aspect. The other positive is you know that this guy had a shitty team around him and that you as an organization can put the right people around him to succeed.
mm,
Those are both not falsities, but negatives that have shown itself to you in these past 2 months. So you can make it positive in its life.
mm,
I don't blame everything that happened, like media wise, as his fault.
mm.
Like he's young, he's 22 years old. He was basically told this is what you should do.
Yeah.
So that's
No,
what
I
he
agree
did.
with that.
So it's not necessarily like, and plus if Texas Tech's giving me $8 million to play when I wasn't supposed to be first round pick, that's kind of where I'm gonna lean right now. Just because
Mm,
like that's where the money's at. I'm gonna go follow the money. So yeah, I see the downside. I see the potential for issues down the road, 100%. But I also see the path where I can easily solve those problems before they can ever be an issue again because they're known. That is a very well known thing. Whereas when you draft a guy in the second round, fifth round, there's way more unknowns because a lot of times you've had conversations with this guy for 3 minutes. This
mm,
guy's whole life just got aired out for the last 2 months.
yeah.
There's nothing behind that.
Yeah, like I said, like I do feel for him in the sense of, like, he seemed like he was very upfront about it at first, and then outside influences kind of took over there. But at the same time, like, you got to figure out at some point that you are being fed bad intel,
I mean,
and you
he
missed, and
did.
he missed, like he missed on all that. Like, again, like him declaring for the supplemental draft, like, after all of this, it's just every part of it's weird. Like, I don't
I mean,
like, it's just a weird situation how it all happened.
it's a
Like,
very unique situation.
mhm,
I mean, it's certainly not the first time that a college guy has gambled. It's just the first time that's a organization was so upset with him that they leaked it. That's it.
yeah,
That's
between
truly what
that
happened.
and like,
Cincinnati is looking awful in this.
Cincinnati's looking weird. Texas Tech looks bad in all of this because allegedly they knew they wanted to keep it quiet. Like, that's like, it's a lot of finger pointing in that little, like, triangle of it all with Sorsby and his representation, Texas Tech and Cincinnati, they're all just like, no, that's actually the one to blame. Like that whole
And
thing is so
Indiana,
confusing.
yeah, Indiana's the one that leaked it all. So you're looking at, why is Indiana leaking this? Why did this all happen? Because, like I said, it's not the first player to bet on games. He won't be
Mm.
the last. He's just the first one that got outed by a previous organization that he played for. That's it.
Yeah.
So just wrong player for the wrong time. So, like I said, he has a lot of knowns, which is a positive in that aspect. The knowns aren't the best, but at least you know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Last
So,
thing
like,
I'll say with him pertaining to him in the NFL is like you said about it too, like the quarterback tax. The other side of that is that when quarterbacks have baggage, that baggage is 10 times heavier on them.
sure.
Again, you put up with a D end who's a little out of pocket, or you put up with a tackle or
I
a
mean,
receiver that, hey, has a little bit of, has something coming along with them out of college, but like, it's the same clip that Dion took some shit for from a couple years
mm,
ago, where he's talking about, what he wants from different positions, and right or wrong, it's how a lot of people think.
yeah,
Where, he kind of talks about, quarterback, I want both parents at home, 4.0, involved and stuff. You're like, being a leader, I want you, like that's the type of person that you want. And then D end, I want single mom. I want you have like, you struggled growing up. Like you want that anger and everything like that, which again, not the best way to go about explaining all of that, but like, that's how these dudes think. Like there's enough, like he wasn't being untruthful with that, and I think that that's where it kind of comes in. That's the other side of it with quarterbacks. You get paid, you are the higher draft pick, you are the premium position, but when that comes along with a little bit of a checkered past or any issues really, like you get dinged for that a lot harder.
yeah. No, I mean, like I said, I get it. I think it's going to balance itself out here with
Yeah,
the
what's the
whole
date for that?
situation.
July, right?
Nobody knows. It's
Nobody
it's
knows.
pretty it's pretty hush hush. So today it was finalized basically that there will be a supplemental draft, and then
Mm,
kind of going forward, we'll just kind of talk about that here on out here. So going forward, teams will have the next 2-ish weeks, I believe, to kind of submit their offers. So they're going to start with um, the bottom third of the NFL. They'll have the opportunity to submit a draft pick if they choose to. If they choose to, that draft pick will get entered in. Then they'll go to the next group, which is non-playoff teams, kind of like the middle of the pack. They'll get the chance, and then they'll go to playoff teams to finalize it, and submit a pick. Whatever is deemed as the highest pick then will be selected. So if
mm,
a playoff team submits a second round pick, but a non playoff team submits a second round pick, the non playoff team will get him.
right.
Just kind of like this scenario, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. I wasn't 100% sure how they figured that all out, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
and then like yeah, it's super confusing. It makes sense once you come look it up, read a bit about it. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
No, that makes sense.
yeah,
Was going to touch on it just because you kind of brought it up there. Um, and then we kind of got down the tangent of what it means for the NFL side of it there. But you were saying about the amount of shit that he was taking from just across the board. Um, I had talked to some people over the last couple of weeks here. And that was something that came up with all of them, was like, it was right around the time that got settled talked to a few people before that were like, no, like this, the court has to rule in favor of the NCAA here. Like they have to have that because otherwise it blows the doors off of everything. Like the
Yeah.
NCAA keeps losing in court for all sorts of different things. This one would just be because it's so high profile and the nature of it. Like this is something that needs to be handled and needs to
Mhm.
be in favor of the NCAA. And then once that happened, it was like, everybody trying to react to it. Obviously the initial reactions, I don't know if you saw any of those stories, but coaches were calling for not playing Texas Tech in any sports.
Mhm.
Kansas State in conference, their head coach, I'm blanking on his name now, but he even said, he's like, we don't play them this year, but like, we don't want them on the schedule. Like, I wouldn't want to have to play them this year with how they've handled this whole thing, because it goes back to last year with Texas Tech being one of the leaders in supporting harsher penalties for gambling at all, not
Yeah.
even in the sport or with your team. Like they were very aggressive on just the stance of college athletes gambling at all. And then obviously their tone completely changed once they got into the Brendan Sorsby business there. And then I was just kind of listening to other people talk too. Like, I forget who it was now too. I think it was on The Herd where he brought up, he was just like, if you're a coach, like some of the things that he was hearing was, at this point you got to go, if you're going to gamble a lot. Don't do it once.
It's all the
Don't
same.
throw $20 on it. Like throw all sorts of money at it for a month, and then you get to play the mental illness, the addiction card, because that precedent has been set. Don't just do it once. Like you either have to go not at all or completely all in. Like it opened up a whole different set of doors for how the NCAA or how college athletics operate and the issues that they're now going to run into because of this one. And the
Yeah.
NCAA just can't win in court.
I mean, the NCAA can't win in court because of how the NCAA is operated, and
Mm-hmm.
the court doesn't like that. So it
Mm-hmm.
is very much, they've always kind of rubbed against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always been tough for them to really get anything done
Yeah.
because of how large of a conglomerate they've grown to be in the past 40 years. And there's nobody to check the NCAA other than the court. So anytime the court
And
can, the
then
court does.
the NCAA also does not that much.
Hmm.
If we're being completely honest, like they don't do anything with the playoffs. Never have. Like postseason football is not under the
NCAA.
the NCAA doesn't do anything with that. Like they're just like kind of hitting a wall, which opens up the doors just for all sorts of other things
Yeah.
going on in college football. We talked about that a few weeks ago, which seems like a realer and realer possibility that something drastic is going to happen when it comes to college football, at least. But yeah, the term collective bargaining is showing up a lot more in college football over the last few
Yeah.
weeks here.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what comes of it. But before we move on to smaller portion of today, where do you think Sorsby lands?
If it's a third, I could see it being, I think my first bet, probably the Jets, I would guess. I think Miami would be funny and ironic since they play in Hard Rock Stadium. Shout out Hard Rock Bet. I think that would just be funny, but I would guess Jets because at a third round price tag because they have the 3 firsts next year that they can
Yeah,
package together.
I think it's also going to be the Jets. However, kind of moving into what you want to talk about next, I think a realistic and funny one would be Philadelphia.
That would be hysterical. Actually, that would be really fun. That would, yeah, especially if they put a second up on that. That would be crazy.
Like I said, I think it only takes 1 second, and that's it. But that's just my opinion.
Well, I would say
My
that
opinion.
too because I think that would be a little steep. But that's what I was going to say. If it's a third, I would say it's probably the Jets because they have the ammo to make up for it with next year's draft anyway. I don't think the Cardinals would do that. They don't have that many extra picks, or if any, next year.
No,
Do they?
they just have the standard amount.
I was going to say I
A
didn't
lot
think
of
they
teams
have
have
anything.
extra picks, but not them. No.
Yeah, they're in rough shape for that, so they're hoping to be bad. If it's a second, like I would be with you. Like I think it's a playoff team, whether that's Philly and honestly, who, and I hate to say it, but Baltimore.
No, I don't think it really fits yet.
I think it would
Unless
be
you have no faith in Lamar wanting to come back.
I don't think it's that, but I think it is one for leverage on the contract because they still have to get that extension done. 2, I think they realized they probably waited a little, somewhere between too long and also not long enough with Joe Flacco. Now, granted, obviously it worked out. You get Lamar, but I think parking him behind Lamar for a few years as we get into Lamar's 30s and just kind of, again, like I could see them doing that for the contract leverage aspect of it. Also planning ahead and also just kind of have this unknown just sitting there waiting to maybe be able to sell after a couple years. Kind of like a Jordan Love situation, but actually dangle it out as trade bait.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I could see that. Like I could see it. I don't think it would happen, but I can see that whole thing happening. And then Pittsburgh would be another one.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would either because they just got Aller in the 3rd.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot. I mean, if Sorsby's in that draft, I think they're all over him. That's like the tough part of it. Because I think Sorsby's the exact kind of quarterback they go for. But now that you just spent a 3rd round pick on Aller instead of a position that you needed at that time, and then you still have Howard. I mean, you just can't have 5 quarterbacks on your roster. So unless they do something in lieu of that, I just don't foresee that happening. And same with the Ravens. I don't
like I said, I don't
they're
think
going to use premium to get a leverage position.
I mean, they weren't willing to give up 2 firsts to get Max Crosby. They're not giving up a second for Sorsby. So yeah, I could see something like that. I mean, San Francisco?
No, do they just give Purdy that contract?
That was 2 years ago? No,
last year.
Yeah, and he sit for a year or two.
And he played well last year. So I'm not. That's just again, I'm not wasting. Yeah, I'm not wasting high capital on a guy who's gonna sit on the bench. In this situation, it's different.
Mm-hmm. I just think the Niners are also primed for a teardown. They're old, they're expensive, like they're on their last legs.
Yeah, you typically don't tear down a quarterback that you just gave that much money to when the team is still winning.
But he becomes a trade asset.
Yeah, I get
like the Jets are sitting there looking, man, if we could just get competent quarterback play, we could win 10 games.
No.
or something
Mm,
like that. You know what I mean? Like Indy, to be real, Indy could be in the fucking market again.
I think realistic teams that we'll see are like just said Indy, the Jets, Philly, Tampa,
Ooh, didn't think about
At-
that, but I don't hate that.
Atlanta,
Atlanta.
Minnesota. Sneaky outside ones are Pittsburgh, Houston, and Carolina.
Green Bay.
No, they just reworked that deal. And Love has been playing well.
Mm-hmm. Love has looked good, but
Like, I'm not looking
yeah,
at guys that are young and are playing well because, like,
that's fair.
Stroud is young, but he hasn't been playing great. And this is his prove it kind of year. I think Arizona would be higher up on that list if XYZ, if you're not playing for a top tier
Yeah,
pick.
if Arizona just doesn't have the draft capital to be really gambling. Not intended, but
Mm-hmm.
didn't mean that. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to watch over the next couple weeks here and see
I mean, there
what
ain't
kind of
nothing to
comes out on
watch.
that.
We'll just get a singular
I
report,
mean, people are gonna
and
be
that's
talking at
that.
some point.
Yeah, I mean,
Things are gonna come out,
for sure.
just speculation wise, and that's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Always enjoyable there. But in happier news, Jeffrey Simmons got broken off. What was
Yeah,
the number
I
on
mean,
that? 4 years for what now?
100. His average is like 35 and a
I
half,
know.
something
Yeah,
like
no, it
that.
was big. 3-year, 106.
106, yeah. I mean, worth it. He's the best D tackle in the league by a
100
decent
million
margin.
guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Damn.
I sent it to you. I mean, he's worth every cent of that deal and then some.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
see. I forgot about the 100 million guaranteed. Damn.
yeah, like I said, I don't. He out of my top five D tackles, it's him, and then a good bit of distance before the next guy.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of them in that like top tier discussion, and he is the consensus one.
For sure. He has been since Donald retired, and
Mm-hmm.
he was number two behind Donald, and he was closing in on that gap towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, well deserved reset that high in the D tackle market. You'll see guys like Big Q and Jalen Carter potentially get that in the upcoming years. Derek Brown just got a new deal that kind of set this deal up. So all the
Yeah.
young, big time D tackles are seeing that payday finally hit. So that's good.
Yeah, I want to look at. Yeah, I was gonna say. Okay. I just wanted to check in on Matabike's contract that he
What it's like
signed 2 years ago.
3 years,
4 for
80,
98,
4 for 98.
75 and a half, and total guarantees 53 and a half fully guaranteed.
It's pretty good.
Which, what was the full guarantee on his? Nah, it just says $100 million in total guarantees. It doesn't say the
Yeah.
fully guaranteed value here.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he's healthy and ready to go again. But
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm
just
assuming it's probably what 75, 80 of it, probably fully guaranteed.
mhm.
Just trying to do the math on that. That's probably about where it is. Yeah, that's about where it's at there. And then you alluded to it. Yeah, just kind of touching on it because I enjoy bringing this up every once in a while. But the Eagles, weird times, still in Philly here. Not too much in terms of updates of anything that's happened at like OTAs or training camp, but just I still don't know what's going on with that team, and I'm trying to figure it out. And then I got a new wrinkle today. talking to a beat writer that his feeling is that if push comes to shove, his guess would be that Hurts would be the first one to go and not Sirianni,
Mhm.
which I think is like, I was completely taken aback by that because it just feels like a weird dynamic for a quarterback and a coach that have won a Super Bowl together, or not even just together, but like they're on the same level in terms of what they've produced in terms of winning. I would, I feel like any other case, it's, coach is the first one to go,
Mhm.
and then you give the longer leash to quarterback, but this seems to be the other way around.
Yeah. It's always been interesting dynamic with the quarterback in Philly for the last I don't know, decade almost. It's kind of
Mhm.
felt that way. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Yeah, because like the way it was kind of explained to me then too was that the thought process is that Jalen has been rigid over the last couple of years, even though dealing with different coordinators and everything like
Mhm.
that. He wants to run the offense the way he's comfortable, which is, what we've talked about with what he doesn't like to do versus what he does like to do. And Sirianni has been willing to adjust, firing people that he's been told to fire, fired his friend after the playoffs this year. And that relationship between Howie and Sirianni is a little bit closer, even though Jeffrey Lurie views Jalen Hurts as like as a son, basically. Lurie will still concede to Howie when it comes to football
Yeah.
decisions. So like,
Yeah.
I just think that's a very interesting dynamic because we're going into really what the last year of his. That's not the last year of the deal, but the last year of guaranteed money,
What for
or it
Hurts?
for Hurts. I
It's
think
next year.
next year's the
Next
last year
year's
of it,
last year.
but
I just looked it
even
up.
still, yeah. And again, the Broncos with Russ kind of broke the whole system in
Mhm.
terms of what a team can withstand when it comes to dead cap.
Yeah.
But even still, like after this year, it's 107 in dead cap. If they were to cut him or you do something with him after this year, it's less if it's a trade. I know that much, but they like, but even still, like that 107, you
Mhm.
spread that out. Yes, they're paying a lot of guys, but nobody we talked about before on here. Nobody knows how to manipulate the cap like Howie Roseman and the Eagles. So 107 with them feels like light work for them to move around and stretch out for a couple years there and make it all work and still pay Jalen Carter and Devontae and Goddard if they wanted to bring him back the following year. Like it just sets up for a really interesting Eagles season,
Yeah.
if I'm being
Yeah.
totally
I mean,
honest.
it's they're definitely one of the teams to monitor going forward and what the end result is going to be here. Because if they miss the playoffs, or yeah, I mean,
If they
shit,
miss
even
the
if they don't,
playoffs, that is even more insane, but I don't think that they can go through another one and done basically in the
that's
playoffs.
yeah, that
And
was my next thing.
yeah, I
Even if
think
they
that's really what it
have
comes
one
down
and
to.
done.
Like if they limp to it, but to your point too, like I do think that anything from 8-9 to 13-4 is on the table for them.
Always
If it's 8-9, terrifying. 13-4 changes
terrifying.
things again, but Yeah, if it's a first round exit again, and especially if it's at home, if they find a way to win the division, get a home playoff game, and lose at home again, like that is,
That was,
it's going to be loud.
yeah, yeah, for
So,
sure.
all right, well, that's all I got. Fun little chat there. Getting
Yeah,
back
yeah,
into the swing of
nice.
this year.
Yeah, not nice catching up on what is the slow part of the summer here, and
Mm-hmm.
just touching a little bit of base on the other things kind of going on. In the
Mm-hmm.
next month, you're going to see kind of like the ramp up time between now and start of training camp last year. You saw a handful of more trades, so I anticipate something like that to occur. And then with the supplemental draft happening in July, you'll see
Mm-hmm.
a lot more interest coming in sooner than anticipated. So
I was going to say, we got about a month more of nothing before training camp start. So we'll have to play around, come up with some shit,
yeah,
play some more
yeah,
games.
we'll have some fun stuff to do over the course of the next month. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you got anything else?
That is all I have for today.
All right. Next
Cool.
time you see us, will be different.
You'll be different. I'll still be here
Yeah,
with
well,
Windows.
could have alluded to it.
That's fair.
All right,
Yeah.
let's get out of here.
Peace.